How can you force out a business partner? So here's a little bit of context for the question. My business partner was great in the beginning, but now he's awful. I can't continue to do business with him. How do I force him out? This is tricky. Under the law, you can't take away somebody else's ownership of a business just because they can't do the job. So here's what the law is in most states. When you own a small business, nobody can take away your right to ownership in the company, with a few exceptions for fraud and stuff like that. But let's set that aside. So you own the company. But a lot of times, your ownership in the company doesn't produce any benefit to you other than your job and the wages you receive from that job. So say, for example, you have two chiropractors, and they are both owners, 50-50 owners of an LLC. And if one of them is fired, they essentially lose the whole benefit they have in that chiropractic office. They would also stop working there, and so it would probably generate less proceeds. But let's just say that the main benefit of this small business is the wages you get from the job that you're able to work. So if somebody is fired, if a business owner is fired, they may lose all of the benefit of owning that company. Is that fair? The law has said no, it's not. It's one thing for a person to be fired from a large publicly held company like Apple, Google, Honeywell, Burger King, etc. But it's quite another thing if a couple business owners own a small business, they work in the business, and most of the benefit or the money they get is from their job. If you let another business owner fire them, you've essentially robbed that person of the entire benefit of owning a part of that company. So in small businesses, the law generally says you can't fire them because that would take away their ownership benefit. Now, if you had a contract that said they could be fired, that's a different story. But if there's no contract, the law says business owners have an expectation of employment in their company if that was given to them as part of their ownership of the company. So what are you supposed to do about this if you can't get along? Well, here's one scenario. There was a business owner, and as he aged, he struggled with certain functions like using the computer. And that was exacerbated by the fact that the company continued to update its computer technology, and this senior owner had a difficult time learning the new technology and using it. And when this went to court, the judge basically said, you don't have a right to just fire this guy because he can't do the job. You need to make reasonable accommodations for him. So, for example, get him an assistant who can help him with the software. Get him some training. And if he can't do the job, find another job in the business that he can do. So, I think the takeaway here is that when you go into business with somebody, you are often stuck with them. And so it's really important to be selective in the business partners you choose. And then also to have in writing an agreement about how you will separate later and how you will handle different scenarios. Those scenarios might be you don't get along, you don't agree on the vision of the company, one of you aren't doing a good job, at least in the opinion of the other owner, a divorce, a bankruptcy, incapacity, an injury that takes somebody off the job. All of those pieces are what's usually covered in an operating agreement and a buy-sell agreement. So when setting up an LLC or a corporation, you usually have agreements among the owners about how to handle all of this stuff. The operating agreement in an LLC is the same as a bylaws in a corporation. It basically sets all the internal rules. And then one optional add-on to that is called a buy-sell agreement. And that's where one owner can buy out the other in scenarios like death, bankruptcy, divorce, or somebody not doing the job well, or other disagreements that might come up. Unfortunately, business owners often don't do that in the beginning because they don't want to spend the money on legal fees. They're trying to prove the business idea first. They're busy growing the business. And so often I see if business owners don't do it in the beginning, it gets put off until there's tension between the business owners. And that can be a very expensive and difficult time to try to resolve differences that have arisen. It's especially challenging too because often when there are issues, trust starts to erode and resentment builds. And so now you have those emotional aspects causing conflict and distraction in trying to put together a kind of like a prenup or a framework for separating as business owners. So if you're running a business now, or you have business partners and you don't have an operating agreement and a buy-sell agreement, now's a great time to get that in place while you are getting along with the other business owners. So, can you force a business partner out if you're not getting along? No, except if your contract says so, you can follow the terms of the contract, or if you go to court. A court can dissolve a business and force the partners out, or force one to be bought out for a fair market value. All right, well, thank you for joining me here today. If you would like more information on me, you can find it at aaronhall.com. If you would like to follow us on other platforms, just search for Aaron Hall Attorney on the various other social media platforms. And if you have other questions, I'd be happy to see about answering them in future YouTube videos. Feel free to add them in the comments below. It was great talking with you today. I hope this was helpful, and let's stay in touch. You can sign up at aaronhall.com/free if you would like to receive those exclusive training videos for people who are trying to avoid common problems in small businesses. Have a great day.